What if I told you that you could wake up tomorrow as someone else? A new name, a different past, and no memory of your old life. Sounds like the plot of a psychological thriller, right? But for people with dissociative identity disorder, this is reality. Once called multiple personality disorder, it's like having an entire cast of strangers trapped inside your head, each one with their own voice, habits, and even handwriting. You could be living 2, 3, or even 20 lives without realizing it. Some people with that disorder don't even know they have it until they start finding messages from their other personalities, written in their own handwriting but in words they don't remember writing. This disorder is often linked to severe childhood trauma, where the brain fractures itself as a defense mechanism. Some psychologists debate if it's overdiagnosed, while others argue that most cases go completely unnoticed. Could you have another version of yourself lurking beneath the surface? Number 2. Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, OCD. You double-check the door, once, twice, 3 times, then you walk away, only to turn back again. What if you left it unlocked? What if someone breaks in? What if? What if? What if? Now imagine those thoughts running through your mind all day, every day. That's what life is like for someone with obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. And no, it's not just about being clean or organized. It's about feeling trapped inside a mental loop of intrusive thoughts that won't stop until a ritual is completed. Some people wash their hands until they bleed. Others avoid certain numbers because they're convinced disaster will strike if they don't. And here's the terrifying part. Many people have mild OCD tendencies without realizing it. Ever feel like something bad will happen if you don't do a certain routine? That's a shadow of OCD creeping in. The line between normal habits and compulsive disorder is thinner than you think. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. One moment you love someone more than anything. The next you're convinced they're out to ruin you. Relationships aren't just complicated when you have borderline personality disorder, BPD. They're explosive. People with BPD experience emotions on extreme highs and lows. A simple "are you okay?" can feel like a sign of betrayal. A minor disagreement can feel like the end of the world. It's why people with BPD often sabotage relationships, pushing away the people they love the most, just to test if they'll stay. Many people with BPD don't realize they have it until they notice the pattern, an endless cycle of intense relationships, emotional breakdowns, and a deep-rooted fear of abandonment. And here's the controversy. Some psychologists believe BPD is one of the most overdiagnosed and misunderstood disorders. Others argue that it's a ticking time bomb, leading to higher self-destructive tendencies than almost any other mental illness. Generalized anxiety disorder, GID. You ever get a feeling of dread for no reason? Like something terrible is about to happen, but you don't know what? Now imagine living in that feeling all the time. Generalized anxiety disorder, GID, isn't just being a little anxious. It's a constant state of overthinking, panic, and physical symptoms that can feel like a heart attack. Some people with GID go to the hospital convinced they're dying, only to be told it was just anxiety. And here's the scary part. Millions of people suffer from this and never get diagnosed. Instead, they live their whole lives convinced they're just naturally stressed, never realizing that their brain is in a permanent state of fight or flight. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. Think you know a narcissist? Think again. We all know someone who thinks they're better than everyone else, someone who craves attention, loves compliments, and never admits they're wrong. But true narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, goes much deeper. People with NPD are experts at manipulation. They make you feel special until you're no longer useful. They twist reality to make you doubt yourself. They build entire relationships just to feed their ego, and when they're done, they discard you like you never existed. Some experts believe social media is fueling a rise in narcissism, creating an entire generation obsessed with image, status, and validation. But the scariest part, most narcissists will never admit they're narcissists. If you think, this couldn't be me, well, maybe it is. Panic disorder. You're sitting in a restaurant laughing with friends, when suddenly your chest tightens, your vision blurs, your heart races, you feel like you're dying. But it's just a panic attack. Except it's not just a panic attack. For those with panic disorder, this can happen anywhere at any time for no reason at all. And once you've had one, you live in fear of the next. Many people with panic disorder avoid public places, afraid they'll have an episode in front of others. Some stop driving. Some even become completely housebound. The brain is a powerful thing, and when it decides something is dangerous, even if it's not, it can trap you in a cycle of fear that's almost impossible to escape. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. What if I told you some people feel nothing? No guilt, no empathy, no remorse. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, is one of the most feared mental disorders because it's the one most commonly linked to criminal behavior and psychopathy. People with ASPD are often charming, intelligent, and completely ruthless. They see people as tools to be used. They lie without hesitation. They manipulate without guilt. And here's the chilling part. Not all people with ASPD become criminals. Some become CEOs, politicians, lawyers, people in power. Why? Because they're wired for cold-blooded success. Ever met someone who seemed too charming, too calculated, too dangerous? You might have been talking to someone with ASPD, and you'd never even know it. The hidden epidemic mental disorders don't always look the way you expect. They're not always obvious. Sometimes they hide in plain sight. Millions of people are living with these disorders, and they have no idea. Could you be one of them? Could someone you love? The truth is, the human mind is still one of the biggest mysteries in science, and what we don't know might be the scariest thing of all. Mental health is often invisible. People suffering from these disorders can go through life without anyone ever knowing they're struggling. Whether it's obsessive-compulsive disorder, dissociative identity disorder, borderline personality disorder, or any of the others, these mental health conditions are more common than we realize. And in many cases, the individuals affected have no idea they have it. But here's something even more unsettling. These disorders don't always show up the way you expect them to. Some people appear perfectly normal, hiding their internal battles behind a mask of calmness. They might function well at work, in relationships, and in social situations, but deep down, their minds are in turmoil. The quiet sufferers. The most disturbing part of this hidden epidemic is that so many people are suffering in silence. They may never even recognize their symptoms, assuming they're just part of life or character traits. In some cases, individuals with antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder may go their entire lives without any professional intervention. These people might climb to positions of power or influence, leaving a trail of emotional devastation in their wake without ever acknowledging the harm they've caused. And what's even scarier is how these mental health issues can go unnoticed in our everyday lives. Perhaps it's a friend who seems perpetually anxious, a colleague who can't seem to form lasting relationships, or a family member who becomes easily agitated. These subtle signs, often overlooked, could be symptoms of something much deeper. The rise of social media has made these issues even more complex. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook can create a distorted sense of self-worth, exacerbating the symptoms of disorders like narcissistic personality disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. With the constant comparison and the craving for external validation, it's easy for people to get lost in their own heads, not realizing that what they're experiencing is part of a larger mental health crisis. The truth is, we all need to be more aware of the mental health epidemic silently spreading around us. Understanding the signs, showing empathy, and creating a space where people feel safe to speak up can help break down the stigma. If you or someone you know struggles with any of the disorders discussed today, remember, you are not alone. There are resources, professionals, and communities ready to support you. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a step toward recovery and self-understanding. Acknowledging the struggles, both our own and those of others, can make all the difference. Let's work toward a future where seeking help is normalized and where no one has to suffer in silence. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Join us as we continue to explore important topics that impact our daily lives. Turn on notifications so you never miss our latest content. Together, we can break the stigma and spread awareness.